So I'm calling the meeting to order, and it's 2:38. And first matter, if there's any public input, and there doesn't seem to be anybody on Zoom and no other public here, so say no to that. So next, we will take a look at the minutes of the February 8th meeting. I make a motion.
I move to
Oh.
make to accept the minutes of the meeting for discussion.
I'll second. Yes, I'll second it. Okay. So yes, that's right. All in favor of accepting the minutes of February 8th, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, no. Any further discussion on those? No, so the motion is carried. And we'll continue on to the treasurer's report.
Okay, well, I passed out to you the report. One of them is dated on the top of February 8th, which would have been your last month report where I would have been here. I actually got I got the town report, I think 3 days after we were supposed to have our meeting. So I guess better late than never. There isn't really much to report. Life sort of goes on. At the end of February, we had 60.7% of our budget left. And we have February, March, April, May, June. We have about 4 months left to go. So I don't think there'll be any questions about that, depending on what goes on with your finance board presentation. So that's the information for February, which would be the monies through the end of January. And then the March report gives you the information through the end of February. And at the end of February, you see that we're down to 55% of our budget left. So without the activities being, much being done, the money pretty much stands there other than the salaries. Everything else is pretty stable. Not much money coming in, of course. And I did do a little list down on the bottom there so that you could see the cash receipts for December, January, and February. I had not done that one. I didn't do December on the January one, so I better just add that in so that you can see a running total of what those. So I'll do that until I run out of paper.
Can you tell me again the cash receipts? Like December is 823, January is so much less, and then February is 823 again. What it consists of at this point? The cash receipt?
I can't tell you. I just report what they.
What they did in the report.
So we were open October, November.
Oh,
So some of that might have went into the December report of what they received for activity classes.
I get it.
And then we closed down again the 1st of December.
So then there's a lag, so January was much less, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
Why
what
did
that
it pick up
February
in
receipts is.
I can't give you December. I have February here. Oh, let's see. Yeah, February.
So that was last month, but I'm trying to think.
Actually, what I have is, February is actually twice. February was 8/23/29. So December is actually up to where February is supposed to be. Because when I do the report, I just take from the last one that I did. So if you don't bother with December, just look at January and February. And that's the two numbers that I have. I have them right.
Okay.
Evidently, what I did was I didn't change the cash receipts for December. I'll see if I can do that for the next meeting. That escaped me. What, any other questions? Any other ways that you want it, would prefer to have it done? Right.
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report for February. We probably should do them separate.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'll second that one. And shall I make a motion to accept? Oh, you're right, you're right. So all in favor of accepting the February 8th report, treasurer's report, say aye. Any opposed? Say no, no. So, and no further discussion on February's? So motion carried.
And I'll make a motion to accept the March 8th treasurer's report.
Okay. And I will second that motion. All in favor of accepting the March treasurer's report, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Any further discussion on that one? So motion carried on the treasurer's report. Now, moving along to Lisa and the senior center director's report.
Okay, old business, the senior center is continuing to provide the weekly and monthly meal program for its members. The sign and awning has been ordered for the senior center. There is not a date for installation at this time. The senior center staff continues to schedule appointments for COVID-19 vaccines. Clinics are held on Saturdays. And both Lisa and Rosemary are working at the clinics.
Lisa, I have February. I don't have the March one.
Oh,
Sorry, I was wondering why the words didn't match.
I'm supposed to have it.
Oh, wait a minute, yeah, maybe Al has
yeah,
it.
I have another one. No, it's just I gave her, I brought up February and March, so I just happened to give her February.
Oh, this one, I got it here. I'll say, and I'll give you this one back.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem, sorry.
New business, a new tabletop washing machine was ordered and delivered to the senior center. This will allow staff to do small loads at the senior center. Items will be hung to dry in a dry rack. It is with a heavy heart that I announce that our staff member's husband, Joe Zappala, has passed away. Joe was a longtime volunteer at the senior center and will be dearly missed. Marie Zappala, our coworker, remains on family leave and will make a decision whether she will return to work by April 1st.
Oh, yeah.
That we accept the director's report.
I second.
How's your little washing machine work?
It's still in the box. We haven't taken it out because we don't have any laundry because we're not cooking or anything. So, well, I can bring some in, right? So it looks good, but we haven't used it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so where do you have it? Where are you gonna put it?
So we'll hook it up probably in the kitchen sink. We would consider it maybe the arts and crafts room, just because I don't know how much noise it's gonna make. We'll have to try it out and see. But it's one of these things that you wheel in and wheel out. It fits right on top of the counter.
Oh,
Yeah.
That would be perfect, yeah.
Yeah, and that's all we need really is the polishers and dish towels and things, so.
okay. What about a dryer?
We're just gonna put stuff on a drying rack right now. You know, we have a free washing machine sitting in the garage, but it's $3,000 to do the plumbing to.
Right.
And so the Board of Finance didn't approve that last year. And I'm sure this year I didn't bring it up because I thought this was a bad year with the pandemic. So, and then we could always buy a dryer.
Well, you're doing an energy saving here with your drying rack.
Right, right. So this is a temporary fix anyway in the meantime, and then we'll see what next year brings, you know.
How big is this washer? I can't imagine.
It stands about this high, but I think a lot of that is probably styrofoam packing. It's supposed to actually fit right on top of the,
Okay.
right on top of the counter, and it drains into the sink. So it seems like a nice little thing. It had high ratings, so hopefully it'll work fine.
Is that approved by the health department that you can put that in where you are preparing food?
You know, I didn't come across that, Judy. I didn't even consider that. So I can talk to them about that. It's not gonna be a permanent fixture,
Yeah.
but I should talk to them about that. That's a good thought, but if that fails, then we can at least go to the arts and crafts room, and I do have a sink in the library as well.
You have other alternatives.
Yeah,
I don't want to give you a hard, you know.
no,
hard
but that's a
time about
good
it.
thought. I don't want them to come and,
Yeah, tell you that you can't do that.
right, it's going, and she's trying to do an inspection. Just tell her, wait till the laundry stuff.
Oh, well, you want me to put it in the bathroom?
Right, right.
You have to buy that out of your funds?
We did, we bought it, I asked permission at the meeting when I presented my budget. And they said it was fine because I had money left over, and it was only a couple $100.
Yeah, no, I just wondered.
Yeah, I took it out of the activity budget, so.
Lisa, I wanted to ask about, now with the governor saying he's relaxing things on March 19th, is that changing things in the senior center or not? Do you have any plans or
We have no plans right now.
for reopening anything? Okay.
Yeah. I had a plan, but I think it's best to say I have no plan right now.
Do you
Yeah,
have any idea when you will? Because
probably early summer at this point.
For a while longer.
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
not May?
You need to find out how things move after, what is it, the 19th of March, when all these things take effect.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see what actually happens within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
One of the, and that was my thought too, is hopefully to have it open sooner. But somebody suggested to me that when the building opens, permanently. And I don't think that date has been determined right now. So that's kind of sitting in the back of my mind too.
There's no talk of town hall opening. You know.
If there is, I think there is, but we're not privy to that yet.
Official.
I think they're discussing, and I don't think a decision has been made, and I'm not part of that conversation, so I'm just,
Waiting to hear. Yeah.
yeah, or hearing bits and pieces, so.
I just wondered, because a lot of pressure was put on the library to open, and they're gonna partially open next week.
Yeah. Now, some of the senior centers in the area are open, but when I say they're open and running mostly Zoom programs, and the ones that are having live classes are having 1 or 2 people in the class.
Yes.
So to me,
Oh,
that's,
goodness, yeah.
yeah, that's, you're not serving your senior center people, members. We're anxious to open, but we are very busy with the clinics right now, and I'm not sure who's gonna pick up that if we don't, so.
Are you the only ones that are doing the calling for the clinic?
And the appointments, we're doing the appointments, and we were sharing that with, when Reading was doing it, they were doing their own appointments. But now we're doing all the Bethel and the second vaccines, and then, they have a whole stream of volunteers, so Irene Earl is really arranging all the volunteers that are there. Laura is doing just a tremendous amount of the, she's just really overwhelmed with what she's doing, but she has a good team behind her, and we're just simply doing the appointments, but it's just time consuming. It's not hard in any way. It just takes a lot of time.
How many more weeks do you think you'll be doing this? for the-
I don't know if they said, through the summer anyway, but I don't think we'll be doing it through the summer. But I think they're gonna be doing vaccines until early fall is maybe what I heard. I'm not real sure about that, Jean. They still have the whole general population to do.
Sure.
Plus they have children, and that hasn't even been, people with special needs and all that hasn't come up yet.
So your responsibility, is it for all ages eventually, or just the seniors?
No, it initially was only for the seniors. So it was, now we're 75 and older, we're still working on some of those folks. 65 and older, now they opened it to 55 and older. So we're doing all those appointments right now, and we can't determine anybody. It has to be, they're time stamped when they go into the computer. And so we have to call people in the order that they register.
Right.
And they're very strict about that. So we can't just pull somebody up and put them on the list. And so for that reason, they're getting kind of mixed now because some of the 55 and older, you know, the minute that he made that announcement, they signed up, so.
Lisa, the 55 and older now, the 65, if you're 73, you don't have priority over the.
It goes by timestamp. It goes by in the order, and then so many people, he had said at one point that people with, you know, some kind of illness or a condition could bump other people, and we're strictly doing it by age, and we're making appointments by the timestamp. So the date and the time, and then what's funny about the system is that a husband and wife can sign up together, and they say they signed up at the same time, but it's not possible to sign up at the same time. So those 5 minutes in between, when they're making that appointment, like 100 or 200 people can get in there. So, you know, it's,
You may have to go together then.
so then they can't go together, right? Unless we've called, sometimes we have called those 100 people in between, and it works out, because what happens is so many people are going through Vance as well, and will go elsewhere.
Or someplace else.
So we'll call 30 to 50 people and get one appointment, is how it's really been working out, because so many people are going elsewhere, which is a good thing, because it makes us go through the list quicker,
Yeah.
and people are being, you know, smart to sign up for wherever they can get it quicker.
So are you now doing it for 55 and older? Have you started that?
Oh, no, we're not there at all yet, yeah. We're still working on, someplace in early February, I think, when people signed up.
I have a question, maybe it's a stupid question, just curiosity. The second shot, is that the same formula as the first or a different?
I understand it's exactly the same.
Oh, okay.
But it's when it arrives in a different lot than the first
Oh,
vaccines. So it's usually a different lot number. They have lot numbers to all of them, and those are specifically for second shots.
you have to make sure.
I want to
those
say
people
they're
get it.
guaranteed, but you can't really say anything is guaranteed because we never know how much we're gonna get.
Right.
But they try to guarantee those second shots anyway, and then the first shots is, you know, a bonus, whatever we get, we get.
Mhm.
Have you had much, leftover vaccine at the end of the clinic?
So that's interesting, because in the beginning, there was quite a few, almost every vial had an extra dose. So, you know, we could vaccinate so many more people. At the end of it, they were frantically calling people because we didn't want to waste doses.
That's how I got called.
And they didn't know it until the end of the clinic. So then they started sort of getting smart, and around lunchtime, they started counting all their extra doses. And we started calling people at that point, because it takes a while to get people, and they have to be able to come right then and there. And then what happened, the manufacturer must have been alerted to that, and it's down to the drop
Oh,
of exactly what is in those vials
Wow.
now. Yeah, and so that was interesting, because then we thought, well, we'll get smart, let's have 30 people on standby, and they'll be ready to come, and there were no extra doses. So then it was, well, that's not such a great system. So
it changed
each
all the
week,
time.
it's just changed
Yeah.
a little bit with the process of what's happening.
That seems more sanitary to me to have the dose, be
Exactly.
the dose, because then you're not double dipping the same needle, but you're exposing it to another needle after it's been exposed. Like, I'm like a germaphobe, so like.
Yeah, they're all clean needles each
No, I
time.
know,
Yeah.
I know, but I don't like that.
But they don't mix anything, you
Yeah.
know, because I thought maybe that was the case too. But they don't do that, and of course, it's always the same vaccine. You can't have a Pfizer and then get Moderna.
Right.
We only do Moderna, and that's due to our refrigeration system. And I don't know whether they'll get Johnson and Johnson or not, because that's a regular refrigeration, I understand as well. And that's only a one dose, which would save a lot of time, but. So far, it's going well. People seem pleased.
Oh, yeah.
when
Well
they go.
organized.
Yeah.
Very well organized.
So that's hats off to Laura and her crew. Tom is on the crew, and Peanut.
There's so many people that were
A lot of
helping and
people.
working. Oh, my
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
They're really
very
organizing those
sweet,
people
very
well. A
nice.
lot from the Board of Ed are coming in to help out, which was great. Yeah, a lot of them there. Christine Carver's been there, the superintendent. All the principals of the schools have been there. Yep.
It was a great decision to use the
Yeah,
chat.
teachers came last week, but they've been volunteering right along, all the principals and Matt's there every week and.
And there were some young teenagers there too, wasn't there? Did I
Only
remember?
if like the Layden girls are there and they're there, because they're volunteering at they're hired by Peanut anyway, so
Oh, okay.
they're working the clinics on the weekend.
Oh, okay.
So anybody working the clinic has been vaccinated just to protect them,
So is everybody there a volunteer? That's remarkable.
most everybody.
Wow.
A lot of people,
Wow.
yeah.
And a wonderful decision to use the track.
Oh, she's
Yeah.
so gracious with
Perfect.
that.
Yeah.
Plus, I like the fact that it exposes it to the
Yeah.
town, that people, you know,
Yes.
most people haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Especially the seniors, and so it's really a beautiful facility, and she's there every week helping out, and she has her track going, you know, in the morning, but,
And
yeah,
you see
they've
the
been very,
kids running
very gracious.
around, it's so
Yeah.
cool, really.
Yeah, it's a nice facility. Go peek at it.
Yeah, my mom was saying it's beautiful. She took a picture.
Yeah, yeah, it's really something, so, quite a gift.
Oh, I wanted to, Lisa, you and Megan did a great job at the budget meeting. That was very interesting. I zoomed in.
Oh, thank
and,
you,
Yeah, so that was very good.
thank
That
you.
was A little intimidating.
It's very
Yeah.
intimidating. Very intimidating.
Yeah, you guys did a good job. Thanks.
How did it go?
Well, it seemed as though they were receptive,
Okay.
but,
That doesn't mean anything.
I don't, yeah, I agree with that, you know. I'm sure, I think they're looking to cut all departments, at least that's my opinion, I don't know, that's, you know, it was a tough year for people in town, so they certainly don't wanna.
Mary, were you telling Rosemary and I, or who was saying, was
I'm sorry?
Pat Morton, that senior center and social services through the Board of Finance, they weren't making any cuts to ours?
Oh, wow.
No, but they did cut leases at the second year. They cut.
Oh, they
$11,000.
did.
Oh,
For
The
activities,
second one.
I
oh,
think it was activity, which I don't really remember.
Hmm.
Maybe we can discuss that under old business.
Okay.
And take a motion.
okay. So we had the,
Oh, that'll show up next year.
a motion and a second.
Some of the money
All right,
back this year.
okay.
yeah.
So, all in favor of accepting the, director's report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Any further discussion? So the motion is carried. And we'll go on to the municipal agents report.
Okay, the senior center has had several inquiries regarding senior housing. Information and referrals have been given. The municipal agent received a call from a relative that lives out of state regarding Bethel residents. She's concerned for their welfare and their financial situation. A return call was made in lieu of a home visit during the pandemic. Several referrals were given out and the recipient was receptive and grateful for the call. The person that notified the municipal agent remains anonymous to the Bethel resident in need per their request.
Move that we accept the municipal agent's report.
I second.
All in favor of accepting the municipal agent's report, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Any further discussion?
I have a question, Mary. Do you know if are they doing the tax program at the library?
Yes, they are.
Okay, because I know it was
Oh,
a question.
Hmm?
And I do have a number for Vita, but we're getting an awful lot of calls for that, so we refer them to the library.
Okay, I think they can't handle anymore.
Okay,
Because it's AARP is coming into the library and doing it in the library with appointments.
okay,
But they can only handle so many because nobody can be in the building at the same time.
right. There is a Vita program where they will do it a one-on-one thing, so I have that number we're giving out as well.
Uh-huh.
So at least there is help out there.
Yeah. I'm wondering if now, in retrospect, if that's something you could have done here.
Well, we gave it up last year and gave it to the library. And could we do it this year? We could have, well, I mean, yes and no. The building was closed and the computers aren't 6 feet from each other, so they probably would be able to use two at the most. I have them on a long counter and it's one right after another, 6 of them. So if they did every other one, it still would probably be 2, maybe 3 at the most. Probably only 2, to be honest with you, the way they're plugged in.
You know, if you've given the program up, you certainly don't want to go back and take it over.
No, and the
has it,
library
they
was
handle it.
really, she was looking forward to doing it because she wanted more footwork in the in the library. And we had a lot of problems the year before for different reasons. We wanted to do it strictly for seniors. And they agreed to that initially, and then he changed his mind and said, this is the AARP rules, they have to open it to everybody, and I felt like seniors should be the priority in the senior center.
Of course. So it's
So
probably
that was
another
one of the
reason to be in
main
library.
reasons we gave it up, but there were a lot of other things too that happened throughout the year that were just, it just happens with different programs, so.
Yeah, but it is up and running, and people, I believe. are
Oh, good,
satisfied.
that's great,
The problem is they can't do the numbers that.
yeah.
I never saw, I usually get notice from the library, I didn't get anything about they were gonna do it.
I don't think they advertised it, Gene. I think it came through AARP, because they're the ones that are actually doing it. The library's not doing it. They're only allowing it to be their facility. The library has nothing to do with it.
Right,
Oh, very
and that's what the
interesting.
senior center was too, Jane.
I get it.
They run the program, you just provide the facility.
Oh,
I guess because then, I was coming to the senior center, so you
Yeah.
saw the little
So
signs,
right, right.
but you couldn't go to the library, so you didn't
Right.
see any sign.
Well, and the decision was made so late, I know, with the AARP, that was, because they had a really difficult time getting volunteers, because people with COVID, and you have to take this course before you do the taxes, and they had trouble with that, I guess, and for people going in, and some of them didn't do Zoom or whatever it was, so there were a few issues, but I'm glad it's up and running.
so do we ask a vote again, or we just say the motion is carried?
It's done.
Okay, right, so that one is good.
You should have discussion before you do your vote.
Yeah.
We did the discussion, and so
No,
we
you
should do it
have
again?
No, you
No.
should, once it's been moved to accept the report for
Yeah.
discussion, then you have discussion and then you bring it up for a vote.
Oh, yeah.
In that order.
Oh, really?
Once the vote is done, it's done.
Oh, I get it. So we should ask for the discussion first.
First,
Okay, got
yeah.
it. All right, so at this point, we'll move on to the Social Services Director report.
All right, the food pantry continues to distribute food twice a month. They're distributing prepackaged bags from 2 to 4. You don't have to make an appointment. And there are 191 households registered, and the number remains the same as last month for seniors registered, 92. 92 seniors, not 92 households. Brotherhood in Action is going to be delivering the Easter food basket on April 3rd. Currently, there are 156 households confirmed to receive baskets, with an additional 10 pending responses, and 1 senior who plans to register this week. Brotherhood in Action is hosting a food drive this Saturday to obtain food donations for their Easter food baskets, which I'm working at. Called probate court assistance, donations for insure, briefs, which I refer to the senior center, grocery shopping assistance, private care, a gal calling on behalf of her senior parents with Medicaid benefits and skilled nursing facility services, senior transportation, surgical office concerns. Bethel Senior was a Bishop Curtis, should refer to Bishop Curtis, resident service coordinator. Senior inquiring about income tax assistance. Daughter of senior who passed away looking to place for a place to donate his medication, EBT card. Senior moving to North Carolina inquiring how it will impact her Medicaid benefit. Senior housing, true call, SNAP eligibility, which is a form of food stamp. And then Mr. Knickerbocker, second COVID vaccination difficulty obtaining. This gentleman got a Pfizer vaccination at CVS, and he is having no luck scheduling a second appointment for it because they're not secured.
Oh,
They're not securing the second shot. So, and they're so limited on security of the Pfizer one. He updated me today. I called Walgreens, and you have to have an account. So he got the account with them, and he said that he may have luck, but he can't register until March 18th. So that's the thing to pass on to your friends. Like sometimes it's worth the wait if you wait for the Moderna one. And then 10 seniors I helped register for the vaccination or pre-register.
I move we accept the minutes for items report.
second?
I just do have a question. Where's the food drive on
The food
Saturday?
drive is going to be right at the Methodist Church. And it's gonna be entering through Greenwood Avenue, exiting onto School Street.
Okay.
It's gonna be, 9 to 12.
Is it gonna be out in that drive?
Yeah,
Any further discussion?
Any particular things that they want, or they'll take
no,
anything, or
Leo
what?
said anything, any canned goods, non-perishable.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no specifics.
Yep, okay.
Okay, any further discussion? No, we'll take a vote. All in favor of accepting the social services report, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And so the motion is carried. Now we're on to old business.
Just a quick question on old business, Lisa, how did your finance report go, and what do you think is gonna happen? I mean, you discussed it briefly.
The presentation went okay. They asked a few questions, how the seniors were doing, mostly they wanted to know. And I expect it to be cut, to be honest with you. So we'll see what happens. I think it's just a sign of the times more than anything else right now. That's my opinion because of the pandemic this year, you know. We're not bringing in any money. There were questions about that because they count on some of that money to be paying salaries and things, but of the instructors, but they're not paying the instructors. So there will be money left over in the budget at the end of, you know, the budget season, but there was a little discussion about that because I mentioned it went into the general fund. And then they said, well, it doesn't go into the general fund. And then it wound up that it does go into the general fund, I think. So, which is where I think the revenue went anyway. So I think it's, yeah, I think it's, they're gonna wind up with pretty close to what revenue we brought in with the money that's left over, is what I think is gonna happen. Yeah,
I've always said that, you know, they say that, you know, you bring in money, but you also, it's already funded.
yeah,
And they do sweep, you know, they'll sweep,
right,
they sweep the 101 accounts, which is the salaries out of, you know, if you had somebody who's been missing, especially
like Marie's on a
like
leave of
Maria's,
absence.
now you're not paying her, so you'll have money, they'll sweep that out of there.
Yeah,
That goes back in,
yeah,
because that's, and it'll be used somewhere else.
and I wouldn't be able to use it anywhere else.
No, you can't use it,
Right.
101 accounts, you can't, nobody can use that,
Right.
except the people that are upstairs, they keep contact, they keep an eye out for that all. Oh, so you suspect that you won't be starting again until next fiscal year, which would be the 1st of July?
I hope to be started before
Before
that,
then?
if not June, maybe May,
Okay.
that's what I'm thinking, I was hoping March, but I was hoping the end of March, the beginning of April, but I think we're gonna have to wait a little longer than that. So, and it would be nice to be open and sort of go full stream and not have to close yet.
Yeah. well,
You know, that's our hope is to really, you know,
A lot will happen in the next 8 weeks. I
It
think
will.
we'll see
yeah,
how
I think
this
so
next
too,
week.
Mary. And then the
Yeah.
other concern I have is, you know, how long does this vaccine last? And the effect of it. So that's, you know, that's a concern I have too.
Yeah, and all the new strains, there's too many unknowns.
Right, and there's just no answers for any of it.
Actually, it's gonna be around forever. I don't think that we're ever gonna be free and clear of this.
Yeah.
Just-
No, I agree with that, to get a vaccine, but is it gonna be an annual or are you gonna need it before that? And they just don't have the answers to that yet. So,
And you wouldn't have people that they can only come to the center if they show proof of the 2 vaccines or whatever.
I don't think so, because
be
I think it would be
complicated.
discriminating against, you know,
okay.
people, but I think because of that, you would have to be able to protect that.
Mhm.
And even though you're protected, my understanding is you could still be a carrier and give it to somebody that hasn't had the
Even if
vaccine.
you
So
yes.
we want to keep everybody safe. So we would still have to have these precautions, which means our classes would be half to 3/4 full, which wouldn't bring in the revenue the Board of Finance is looking for. So there's going to have to be a few changes as far how we run things, I guess. Well, that has to be worked out.
I don't think you should use not getting the revenue as a criteria. The most important thing is to get people out of their houses
Right.
and back into activity,
Right.
regardless of whether or not, that's not your primary concern is revenue.
I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with
Because
you
it's
with that.
been such a long, it's a year now.
Right.
And people are, there's more problems. It's not just teenagers and kids that are suffering through all of this. And I think the social interaction would do a lot for the
Seniors.
the mental health of people.
I agree, and that was the Board of Finance's concern, was how was the mental health and, of the seniors. That's been one of the, really the beauty of working at this vaccination clinic, is that to see these people come in that haven't seen people, some of them in a year, they haven't left their homes. And they're so thrilled to see familiar faces, and people are getting teary-eyed, So it's been a wonderful experience that way.
Well, a lot of seniors live alone, and you get depressed, you just, so you go, you have to keep adopting kittens.
Well, someone like you has hobbies, but some of them don't have hobbies, or aren't capable to participate anymore in hobbies, and it's a long day. If you're not talking to people, and it's funny, some of them have been very vigilant, calling people on the phone, checking in with their friends, but some haven't. And, it's those people you want to reach, but you don't even really know how
Well, a
you
lot
find
of
out.
you can't even reach because they don't have a computer,
Right,
they don't have an iPhone, they don't
right,
get the paper anymore because it's too expensive, so, how
Right.
do you reach them?
yeah,
Unless you know. that
unless
they're
we
there.
know, yeah.
Well, I found that I don't call anybody because I don't do anything. I have nothing to say.
Right.
Imagine that.
Well, yeah, a lot of people feel that same way. What are you talking about?
Well, there's certainly nothing very interesting.
You can only talk about making food, cleaning up and washing dishes and
Yeah,
doing
the weather.
laundry so many
What if you
times.
watch on Netflix, right?
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
But Lisa, going back to your budget for a minute, because I listened to both presentations. Number one, you and Megan both did a fantastic job. You were right on target, and I thought well received, both of you.
Oh, thank you.
And I really felt good from the first presentation. The selectmen did not cut either one of you and had good things to say when they made their presentation. The Board of Finance is struggling because they have to find some money. The budget was over a 3% increase, which just won't go in this town. And so they were trying to get it under a 2% increase, which they got it down to 1.99. I mean, I'm not sure that even that's going to fly. And it was just a little here and a little there. And it was, I don't think it was a reflection on you at all. It
No,
was
I
just that they
understand
figured
that.
you probably wouldn't be able to do as many activities, and that's why they cut.
Yeah,
They did the same thing to Park and Rec.
and I'm not sure when our doors open, there's people that are anxious to get back, but it's gonna be interesting to see how many come back. Because people are, some are choosing not to get the vaccine. And so will they come back? I don't know.
You're right, or will they come back and wait until the kids and everyone can have them? Because like you said, someone that received the vaccination could still expose people, and they might be worried about their
Right.
family.
They could be caregivers, right? There's that point too.
At least if you do it wait, you could at least open the windows. June is warm enough, or July
Right.
is warm enough to open the windows.
Do some things
to get
outside.
fresh air in and germs out.
That's going to be a big issue. Air conditioning and the circulation in the area down there, because that circulation, I shouldn't say this, I suppose, but that's never been upgraded.
Right.
And I don't know if just opening windows would obviously help.
There are no windows, too.
A lot of places
There's no
get out of
windows
the
down
room.
there. So we open the doors because that's what the governor's orders are. But there are no windows down there.
Fortunately, there's one in the
In the cafeteria, no, there's no windows there. The windows in the arts and crafts,
Yeah.
the windows in these rooms right
Yeah, all the
here.
other rooms have windows, so
Yeah.
we'll be okay there. We're on a Zoom meeting with, everybody in this area, all the senior centers. But it's held by Western Connecticut Area Agency on Aging, and that's gonna be this Thursday to determine whether they're gonna start our congregate meal plan. So I'm anxious to hear about that, because that'll sort of determine a day too.
Well, just to put a little bug in your ear, if in fact, you watch, see how things go, it would be a good thing to have some documentation if in fact that whole wing needed to be redone. And that's a town issue. There's gonna be money that's gonna be available for this kind of problem. And it should be a priority, especially when you've got people
Oh,
down
the
there.
wing, the cafeteria you're talking
Oh,
about.
the whole west wing, or the whole north wing over there.
Yeah,
That was never redone when the whole town, when the whole building was done.
right.
And, look at the teachers. I mean, they're all complaining because the schools haven't been upgraded with, ventilation systems and whatnot. Well, you're sitting the same thing down here.
Yeah,
It's the same issue.
right.
So you'll have to watch, or at least be aware of that. coming
Yeah.
up. And that's a big project. But nobody's gonna want to tackle.
Right. Or approved.
Well, there's been money that's been sent back to the state for these kinds of things.
Yeah,
When are they getting? A couple $1 billion or something?
yeah. Yeah, it's really the whole center.
Yeah.
Armando's, I don't know if anyone's been in there, but I picked up food there the other day. They have some air purifier things there, Lisa.
Oh, yeah?
They look
Like a
like,
HEPA filter?
I don't know. They look like,
Yeah, I
one
saw
of
it.
those
Yeah,
ACs that
portable?
you put in the window and some portable thing. They have one in the lobby when you walk in, at least one in the dining area, I saw.
There's some that fit, they fit over doorways or something, don't they?
This was on like
No.
little
On a
tables.
table?
yeah, or else they have them that stand up on the ground
They're
too.
UV lights and they use
Right.
them. They at first displayed them. There's a lot of companies that are getting into that.
Uh-huh.
They were first working on them on the train systems in New York City.
Oh,
To try to see if they could clean the place up a little bit. I don't know if they continued that or not.
we got a HEPA filter for our van, to help when this whole thing started, so. Maybe it's something along those lines, I don't know.
Looks like what it looked like to me was one of those ACs that you put that little tube in the window and it's on the floor. You know what I'm talking about? And it's on wheels. That's what it looked like. It just looked like a box, like a rectangle type box.
Yeah, something like that would be great, save a lot of
Yeah.
money probably, yeah. I'll look into it. I do have Joe's address and phone number, if I- oh, or Marie, if anybody's interested in that.
Yeah, I talked to Marie. I gave her, yeah, I did. I gave her a call.
Oh, that's nice, Judy.
She said she was busy trying to get everything organized. The son up here, I guess, for birthday gift.
He was, I thought he went back, but he was up for, at least a week.
Yeah.
When he was able to come up, he was here Tuesday and Joe died on Thursday, so that was good.
This just happened.
He's been sick, but they're very private people and they didn't tell anybody.
So
So he's been sick about a year.
when did he pass away? I mean, just-
Last week,
Oh.
last Thursday.
I didn't see any obituary in the paper.
No,
Wonder if they're
just
having a
this, but
service?
it didn't have a story or anything, and I thought, I just looked before I came up, because I thought maybe it was in Sunday's paper, but I don't see anything online, so. They're gonna have a celebration of his life in September, because there's a couple babies being born in the family, and they wanted to wait so that everybody could come.
I think it might be a nice idea for the commission to send Marie a note. Just acknowledging his passing and that she's missed, I guess, at the senior center.
Yeah, that's nice.
I'd be happy to do that, just to be acknowledged. I didn't ask her if there was anything, if they were doing any donations to anywhere. She say anything
Well,
at
there
all?
wasn't really anything, I have the article, it was on the newspaper, but it didn't say really anything, you could, put a little note online, that was really all that was there. And then the other person was, Norma
Cordova died last week.
I read that at 8 o'clock and the calling hours were over at 7. I said, oh, shoot. I first met Norma when the day after she retired, and she was scared to death that she would have to stay home all day long. There's nothing to do. Now, this would have been in the mid-80s.
Wow.
That
So
was
she's been
a
coming to the senior
long
center.
time ago, and
Wow.
she enjoyed the senior center every bingo thing and every pinochle game she could get
Oh,
involved.
that's like
in. She
50
was there.
years.
Do I know her? Does she?
Yeah, she played poker, but she played bingo in the most recent
Mm,
years.
Yeah.
But she always came in Friday, afternoon to play, and she walked a little bit hunched over, but she walked without a walker and a cane, and she had real tight white curly hair.
I think I may know who you're.
I don't know if the picture's here.
I used to play for.
No. You what?
I played for.
Oh, you did? Oh, how nice. Her son called me to let me know, but we had found out the day before. I had a nice conversation.
Oh, she was 93 years old.
Yeah, that's something, boy.
Okay.
All right, so shall we go on to new business? You have the awning all set, right?
Well, I'm waiting for him to get back to me as far as installation, so I'm sure he hasn't received it yet. I guess they're all custom made. So,
So it's all in the works.
yeah.
I like Judy's idea of redoing the whole dark wing.
Yeah.
Why
Well,
not?
I think-
Everybody else is getting money for things, so why not?
I think that, well, you do you'll still be doing contact tracing. But you'll know who is in here, and then the most important thing is if they get sick after they've been here, to document that. So that you have, if they
As long
might
as
have gotten it from someplace else too, but.
Right, but what happens is when somebody gets sick, the health director of that town is notified. They have a team that calls the sick person and they try to do contact tracing. That person can choose to cooperate or not cooperate. So it's their right to not cooperate with the town of whatever, the town health director. So at that point, then they would they're responsible for contacting the people that they came in contact with within 6 feet for 15 minutes or more. That's the criteria they go by. So we had a couple quirky things happen here that we had one person we were all exposed to that was not within, I think it was the 4-day period, we saw them on day 4, and it was day 3 was the criteria or something. So that we've had a couple of those kind of things, but anyway, thank God nobody got sick.
Okay, I move the meeting adjourned.
Shall I second the motion? Okay, I'll second. So meeting's adjourned, 3:27.